each of your characters represents the emotional scenes of the series. And in saying that, I'll start off with you, Emmy. Can you talk about what to expect from your character dealing with what happened last season and entering a world where the color of your skin is going to be a factor everywhere you go?
Absolutely. I think, the at the end of the last season, Allison was a famous actress with all this money and had a glamorous life and seemingly had a happy marriage and a beautiful daughter. And, I think the further into the season we realized that, none of that is actually true, and that she's, living a life that's really lonely, and she's unhappy, and her husband has divorced her and, taken custody of her daughter. And I think her last ditch effort of kind of finding, her place, and finding, where she fits in is going back home after, they've all been estranged for so long. And then I think, being thrown into the 60s as a Black woman, there's just no way that you couldn't address, her having to immediately be confronted by falling into the segregated South, and what that means for her, and how she's going to find her new footing and find her new community, and get out of danger, especially because she is a superhero, but she doesn't have her power at the moment, and she is weak, and she is kind of, at a low in her life, and she doesn't have her family, and she doesn't have, the things that, have usually helped her through situations. And so I think this season we're kind of watching a really new version of Allison kind of come to the surface, that is simpler and more raw, and more, human in a way. And I think she's learning to use her voice, for a completely different kind of change, and is finding new power in not using her powers, and I think, it's really interesting that she has, chosen to not take the easy way out with the civil rights movement, and rumor some sort of situation into existence for the, an easy progression of the struggle. I think she is choosing to fight, and choosing to, deliberately wanting to take the hard road, because that is the long lasting road, I think.
Mhm. And for Ellen and Tom, obviously, your characters have a lot more emotion. So the question is, will it be in check? Are you guys, are your characters more in control of what needs to happen without giving anything away?
Yeah, Vanya is definitely more in control. I think at the end of the first season, as we see, she releases a lot. It does not benefit the world, but releasing that amount of sort of repressed anger and trauma, uh, it benefits her. Where we find her in the beginning of the second season, she's much lighter, she's more open, she's comfortable in her body, she, can relate to other people. She falls in love for the first time, and we see that she does have a sense of control over her abilities that we haven't really seen before. And and we see that sort of continue more and more throughout the season.
Mhm. Tom?
Yeah, and I think Luther, now he's in the real world and he's not constrained by the sort of the walls of the academy and what that means for him, or what it certainly meant in the past. Now he's in this new world where he's got to fend for himself. And what I kind of like about it in terms of how he's dealing with his emotions this year is that he kind of, rather than just weeping about it, he's turning to comfort eating, which is hilarious, but also um, the real world and aspects of the real world kind of represent, they offer him something, another way to deal with these things. Like there's this laughing gas scene, where he's like, what the hell is this? This is like some new way. And then he ends up realizing that laughing can be therapy for him. Eating can be therapy for him. He doesn't just have to sort of like go into the darkest possible place. There's other ways. And that's what I love about Luther this season, is like the real world kind of makes him go, oh, there's like all this other stuff. And none of that really matters, but the family matter. That's what it's all about.
Mhm. Guys, it's been good talking to you. Obviously, July 31st. Can't get here fast enough. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you. You too.